it's student number 026 from English Poetry Class A. Hi! Before going further to the analysis, I would like to ask you, by any chances, do you know Dante Gabriel Rossetti? If so, yeah, you are correct. He was one of the painters from Britain who invented pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood in 1848. Dante Gabriel Rossetti was an Italian-British poet born in London, United Kingdom in 1828. The brief explanation I did to you was just a start. So, shall we thank it more? Let's go! Before we jump out to the next part, I would like to give you a guideline of this in-depth analysis of Dante Gabriel Rossetti's poem Sonnet 77, Soul's Beauty. So there are overview, background, element of poetry and theory to apply, the analysis, and also conclusion that will be explained further. So, the poem that I have analyzed is Sonnet 77, Soul's Beauty, written by Dante Gabriel Rossetti that I just told you guys previously. It was written in a period of pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, right at the time when a group of rebels that consisted of painters, poets, and also illustrators were against Victorian period rules and claimed that art is purposefully for art's sake. Rossetti himself wrote this poem because of his purity soul into art became more mature and more intensely. He was inspired by his own painting in the same year, Sibylla Palmifera, that eventually commissioned in 1866, 4 years after the death of his wife, Elizabeth Eleanor Siddall. Move to the background. So, the first background that I would like to explain to you is the poet's background. Dante Gabriel Rossetti was a famous Italian-British poet and also one of the founders of pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood movement in 1848. He was born in London, United Kingdom on May 12, 1828. Rossetti and other poets, including her sister Christina Rossetti, invented pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood with William Holman Hunt and also John Everett Villiers to be the rebels of Victorian period when everything went unwell and women started to encourage themselves to do what they wanted. Rossetti was a fine art. It means that his blood, heart, and soul were purely for art. He married with Elizabeth Eleanor Siddall after their meeting in Rossetti's exhibition in late 1840. But his wife no longer committed suicide in 1862. Rossetti, who was also a painter, inspired himself to create his own painting Sibylla Palmifera by writing Sonnet 77, Soul's Beauty, 4 years after the death of his wife. Rossetti wrote the poem in form of praising the beauty of women had in the era. Aside to praising, it was only an obsession of behaving in religion by depicting woman's figure using aestheticism. Continue to historical background where pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood happened before the era of modernism or in the late Victorian period when all critics and massive movements were around as protests and form of mocking over government and royal code. People start to take care about nature and art as their part of life rather than just a justification involvement in each line of poem. Rossetti and other artisans created pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood in 1848 to be against the old terms and use the ideas in painting as a part of moving to aesthetics in a more serious way. They believe that art is purely art itself and works they made are for art's sake. Since most of pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood movers were aesthetics, they could master more than one type of art. Dante Gabriel Rossetti, aside writing poems, he was also a famous illustrator and many of his paintings are well known. So, the physical form of the poem itself is Petrarchan sonnet, or well known as Italian style sonnet, in which contains first part octave rhyme ABBA, ABBA, and second part sextet CD, 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 And the poem has 14 lines and met in iambic pentameter and iambic rhyme. The analysis was supported by an aesthetic theory in order to discover what does the beauty here symbolize for. Aestheticism was formed in the Renaissance or the Rebirth era when beauty or aesthetics is important to make an art. This movement was reborn in the pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood who believed that art is purely art, purposefully for art's sake. Meanwhile, aesthetics theory is a theory which preserves the purity of art and believing that art is not only a work to enjoy but it also represents the beauty which has relations to take in the poem. Symbolism as the element of poetry is applied to take focus on what beauty is for, while Rossetti wrote soul's beauty and also what is the main theme of this poem. We move to the symbols. The symbols discovered in the poem are the beauty or Lady Beauty that represents God. Rossetti referenced God in a beauty because of his greatness. According to Rossetti, God is beauty and he, but in the poem pronoun changes to she since beauty always refers to woman, controls everything. The second symbol, the arc of life, which is obtained in the first line, here represents the time of the speaker when he tries to capture the beauty for his own. His time is described like a circle goes around him every day. The third symbol obtained is the eyes of hers. The eyes of hers are her eyes or godlike eyes, which can see everything, capturing those who are mesmerized by the beauty. And one law is the fourth symbol obtained in the poem. It represents a control, in which God controls them in a law, implies that those who are already captivated must obey the law. And the last symbol obtained is fawn flight. It's a condition when the speaker is now on sky high because of his loyalty following her or the beauty's commands. Proving that aesthetic and symbolism are a great combination to use, there are three ways doing an in-depth analysis, such as illustrating the poem, then continued by writing a general meaning, and then the last digging into detailed meaning. The illustration here starts from the speaker seeing a beauty that is enthroned or capsuled in her struck gaze that awe him. Under the arc of life where love and death, terror and mystery guard her shine. However, the speaker could simply draw her or the beauty as it was his breath. Her eyes, according to the speaker, look over the sky and beneath the sea, that could be depicted in her palm and wreath. The Lady Beauty, whose in praise appears, in a familiar to her voice and hands to shake, and the beat known by her movement and fluttering hem. The speaker follows her in every single day of his life. How it feels so passionately and irretrievably. He feels her like inward fawn flight, and he does it many ways and days. Gabriel Rossetti wrote the poem in 1864. One or two the same year with a painting called Sibylla Palmifera. As he was inspired by his own painting, it gave a new idea for him to write a poem for ode to women in Victorian period as a form of praising. Yet, it was another meaning of religious obsession by manifesting beauty as a symbol of commitment in person worshipping the Almighty God. Soul's Beauty itself is a poem which shows how great God's power to make him his man captivated and worship him in a sense of beauty written in each line. Now in detailed meaning that is attached to identify the deeper meaning of the poem. In line 1 and 4, under the arc of life, where love and death, terror and mystery cut her shrine, I saw beauty enthroned, and though her gaze struck awe, I drew it in as simply as my breath. Rossetti here depicts a scene that contains of life and beauty. The arc of life is described a time when the speaker came around life and also the beauty. He adds love and death, terror and mystery for one who has survived of each can be enthroned by the beauty in line 2. The speaker here already gets her as a part of his life, and the speaker now feels that every single day he can feel the beauty, and he's familiar with her as easily as he breathes, like even though he almost dropped because of an awe in her gaze in line 3. Hers are the eyes which, over and beneath, the sky and sea burn on thee, which can draw, by sea or sky or woman, for one lo, the allotted bondman of a palm and wreath. In line 5 to 8, Rossetti tries to describe a further detail of concerning who the beauty is and what she is able to do. Hers are the eyes, and over and beneath symbolize the presence of God who can see everything. Over and beneath. And also in line 7, to refer the controlling all desires, Rossetti emphasizes one law as her own, and by sea or sky or woman is described that those who are attracted to the beauty is already under her control. The speaker or the man now becomes a allotted bondman that will do everything to her. So, in line 9 and line 11, this is that lady beauty in whose praise thy voice and hand shake still, long known to thee, by flying hair and fluttering hem the beat. In line 9, the lady beauty appears with all praises she gets. She has all voice and handshake that are long known to all who are captivated with her beauty in line 10. It is added that by flying hair and fluttering hem, it represents her great power. And once again, the lady beauty here shows that God has all forces, and beauty can recognize as a power of religion that dominates the speakers or his lives omnisciently. And the beat here represents her footsteps, cause his heart beating when he follows after her. That will be continued in explanation of line 12. And now finally we are here in line 12 to line 14. Following her daily out thigh, heart and feet, how passionately and irretrievably, in what fond flight, how many ways and days. So in line 12, it's a continuation of line 11, exceeding the meaning of the beat which the speaker should follow after her. It causes his heart beating passionately and irretrievably that he can do it many ways and days in a fond flight. Here in the last two lines, Rossetti tries to depict the religion obsession that happens to the speaker by referencing aestheticism using beauty as an object to be worshipped. That means the speaker or the man now is obsessed with her. So in conclusion, Sonnet 77, Soul's Beauty, written by Dante Gabriel Rossetti, describes about how religion can be an obsession for some humans who are captivated, mesmerized, and captured by the beauty. God is a beauty regarding Rossetti, and in order to find the meaning behind, symbolism was the most suitable element of poetry to be chosen in analysis. And aesthetics as a theory was also added to support discovering the complexity meaning of beauty in the poem. Some symbols obtained previously in the analysis signify the existence of God is formed into a beauty that is being obsessed by some men who worship him. They are already captivated by the beauty of God has, so they can do everything what God demands to them. And the beauty here is one form of aesthetics written by Rossetti to symbolize that God is beautiful. His commands are important things for them to do, and God has power to control them in good or bad conditions, so those who worship him should obey his commands. Though believing in their beauty interprets the symbols obtained. And in addition, illustration, general meaning, and also detailed meaning have been added to create an in-depth analysis. All in all, the main theme of this poem is a worship obsession that implicitly goes through a symbol of beauty based on line 9 to 14, describing about the power of hers or the beauty can put those who already are captivated with beauty into a worship obsession. So, what do you think about this poem? I suggest you analyzing the sonnet, then creating your own interpretation by using other theories or elements of poetry. So that's all from me. I hope that you can acknowledge this analysis and get other things you're curious about. I apologize if I did mistake in describing and explaining. Wish you all the best, stay sane, and thank you so much for watching.